The initial acceleration would be gentle because the ship would be so big and heavy, but gradually it would pick up speed and soon would be covering massive distances. In just 1 week, it would have reached the outer planets, gas giants like Neptune. After 2 years, it would reach half light speed and be far outside our solar system. Later, it would be traveling at 90% of the speed of light speed and passing our closest star system, Alpha Centauri, around 30.
And thus is the story of Electroneum. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. So today we want to talk about Electroneum surpassing 4 million registered accounts. We verified in the last video how there are auditors out who have been able to determine that a large amount of the traffic and views that come through Electroneum are real, that this isn't made up, that this isn't the false narrative we've got oftentimes through cryptocurrency projects that have very little use or exaggerated use. And this is all very important because we know use and purpose is everything. And if people aren't going to be using the product, they're not going to be finding use in these platforms, then it would follow that. Then they're never going to really go anyplace. The cryptocurrency space has been mainly centered around what I would describe as a large casino. I believe it was Trace Mayer, one of the early cryptocurrency pioneers, who said that, but outside of Bitcoin, most cryptocurrencies are just like a gambling fund down at Las Vegas. And many of us have, through our own experiences, have found that to be quite true. That these are shell games. That these are nothing more than casinos. And I was listening to some cryptocurrency influencers earlier, and I was hearing things like many of these cryptocurrencies are like having your favorite sports team, right? Mine used to be the Miami Dolphins. And I'm sure many of you all got your own favorite sports teams, but you know, you have that sports team that loses year after year after year. And your idea about it is that this year is their year, that they're going someplace, but their record gets worse and worse. They never make it to the playoffs. They never make it to the Super Bowl. And yet you still have those same people, right? Trying to cheer them on, their home team, as it were. And this is how cryptocurrency has been, I think, for the entire process that we've been in with cryptocurrency for the most part. But I think when you're looking at a product like Electroneum, it's a great deal different. This is something unique. And the confusion has been that the price of Electroneum is correlational to the value of Electroneum. This is a mistake that's made oftentimes in traditional investment worlds. And this is a mistake where some people are able to take advantage get into ground floor services and companies at certain times, profit from them, and some people don't. And the reason is because some people have learned to read the cards, have learned to decipher the bones. And how that is that there can exist undervalued assets, right? They find this out and they're able to secure these assets before anyone else. That is because there is a tremendous difference between the book value of something or the market value of something and the actual net asset value of something, right? And I believe Electroneum is one of these such products, right? Simply because of the usership. You see, the real value is in the community. And the bigger that community gets, and the more people can move that wallet and that cryptocurrency back and forth, the more valuable it becomes. You know, this isn't something related to decentralized applications where 2 or 3 or 4,000 people using these applications means that this is a significant and valuable product. That is not what this is. This is not what we're seeing here. We're seeing something that operates more like a business, operates more like a organized corporate structure, yet at the same time being this hybrid of what we get in cryptocurrency. And in that, sometimes that's going to be the best approach. You know, it's not going to always just be about can we get as decentralized as possible. Whereas I understand the concept and idea of that, I believe there is a bridge that you can take that will end in a later result of there being or a particular products being more decentralized than others. So let's get into what's happening with Electroneum and why we're doing this video. So Electroneum, we're looking here at the roadmap here, and you can see here that as part of the roadmap, it was going into utilities, integration, pay for electricity, and more with Electroneum. So remember, they was doing this first with the mobile phone companies and operators with your well-designed Electroneum wallet, easy to use, integrated into your smart device with decimal systems. Essentially, that looks just like the currencies we use, right? The British pound, the US dollar, the 2 decimal spots instead of 8, and all these things that are going to be more confusing to new end users, right? Very important. Think about what's going on here. Over 4 million users who can pay for their electricity and more with a cryptocurrency. Unheard of, right? Nobody's quite putting it together like Electroneum, because Electroneum knows exactly what they're doing. Now, the intro of the video was interesting because we showed this rocket ship that is very heavy, very big and bulky and slow in the beginning, and it builds up, right? It builds up momentum, right? And then it goes super fast once that momentum gets going, right? A lot of cryptocurrency projects are inflationary heavy at the beginning. That's why it can't go up in price. If you can find a way to control the inflation level and the market prices, right, the supply, then it will follow along with growth, significant growth, like what you're seeing here with Electroneum. That's gotten to 4 million people. That's probably going to get to 10, 20, 40 million people. Whereas a lot of cryptocurrency projects will not. Those things are what's going to be important to that's building that momentum up. And I believe that's what's happening with Electroneum, right? So look at it very interesting like that. It's quite, when you look at it that way, it's quite interesting. But I would also say that Electroneum is now focused exactly on the price and on the inflationary rate of the coin, right? So all of their puzzle pieces are coming together, and they're creating this system that's going to be an amazing system into the future. Now, another big mistake I believe gets made in cryptocurrency is the day trader, right? The speculator. These are remnants from the 2007 17 early cryptocurrency days that cannot leave the casino. What happens when you don't leave a casino, right? What happens when you don't walk out the gambling floor of Las Vegas? You generally lose, right? Eventually, the chips turn against you, right? You got to cash in those chips, right? Eventually, you got to stop that. And cryptocurrency has become this roller coaster circus where people just can't. You know, they go back to the day trading and heavy speculation. The problem is, however, it is not accomplishing anything in the use of viable products. And despite what I've heard many say about how systems of value work, you know, I feel like they're standing on shaky ground just thinking a product or an asset will just increase in value simply because of this need to speculate, right? This highly speculative device. So as we can see, Electroneum makes great sense in that department. The listing on Binance Exchange is now being pursued. A lot of talk about that. A lot of why can't Electroneum get on Binance yet after all these years, after all of this money raised? Well, I think it's a simple answer to that, and I think this is a something that a lot of you need to pay attention to. You have to understand that the system that Binance has put in place, a lot of it has to do with how much these projects were willing to pay to get on Binance. You know, a product that's raised several $1,000,000 to spend a couple of $1,000,000 on Binance, and you know, basically, make that back through the speculation is something that many of them did, and that's why they're on Binance now. Is it ethical? Probably not, right? It's probably not the ethical thing for a lot of what's controlling that to be just linked to how much you're willing to pay to list, right? Or that there is some type of situation like that. And that's what has happened with many projects, right? They've been willing to give up millions in their cryptocurrency to get listed on Binance, right? And in some cases, it's worked out for them. However, I think in the end, it's going to work out a lot better for Electroneum in that they have done everything by the book regulatory-wise. This is going to become a product I believe people are confident putting their money in based on the integrity of the people who use Electroneum, right? Or run Electroneum, the management team, that we know that they're not just in the manipulation game, right? The manipulation of price. Another thing I want to impart to you all about heavy inflation and Electroneum addressing that and this build up that Electroneum is doing is that look at something like Ripple XRP, which is kind of reminiscent of the example we gave earlier, where the sports teams we root for every year is going to win those playoff series or win that Super Bowl. What Ripple XRP has actually done is this went down in value, right? It's going down like many cryptos, but there are some that they're on this trajectory where this downward spiral where they're just not coming back, right? Many of them. And so a lot of people still root on in cryptocurrency hoping that it's going to be a different story. But due to several factors, first, it not being a usable product, significant product people were going to use or really care about in the first place, not just being that, but then also dealing with that high inflation, that large amount of bad distribution and ownership going back to the entity that they're selling off for profits to themselves, you know, in a sense. These are just not going to ultimately be the best working models, right? So Electroneum's on a great path to generally basically be able to address some of those big issues that I believe lie in cryptocurrency. But with that said, guys, Electroneum, I'm looking at it like, again, and no financial advice on this channel in that way. What I do is I just, one of my first pieces of investment advice invest in things you like, invest in things you use, right? And you wear Nike shoes or something, you go buy Nike stock because you like Nike, right? Not so much that it's just about, oh, can I get 30-40% jump this money and I'm out, right? The day trader, right? So my approach is you should be putting money in products you like, cryptocurrency platforms you really agree with and believe in, and as they grow, the value grows along with it, right? So that's all I want to say about that. I want to segue real quick to a project I'm passionate about, one I've created, where I think I've dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. But much like Electroneum, much like our intro, it is the large ship that has to build up momentum over time. But with everything we've put together, our blueprint, we believe it ultimately leads to where we want to be, and that it can have this type of exponential growth curve through the tokenomics of it. So let's get over there and let's talk about that. Okay, over here on the Steam Engine Exchange. And so many of you probably are familiar with Steam, you're familiar with Justin Sun, you're familiar with Hive, and many of these DPoS systems, right? Now, what's the interesting thing about a DPoS system is that it basically is doing something quite unique. A lot of these DPoS systems provide very user friendly interfaces. And in addition to that, when you do a transaction, unlike what you might get with Ethereum or something like that, you don't pay gas fees. You don't really pay any fees at all. It's based on basically resource credits that you accrue basically, and so it's just a very convenient way. It pretty much feels absolutely free to do transactions, and you can consider the tremendous amount of value, especially new people, could get from that, right? So what we want to talk about is that why Bitcoin MYK is so much similar to like these Electroneum-like products that have largely found a way to really deal with what we believe is going to be significant use cases around the world. And that is because the Bitcoin MYK project is not only what we would call a version of Bitcoin, meaning that if you got Bitcoin, everyone gets it free. But it is also a universal basic income project. And of course, as many of us know, with COVID-19, the rise of automation that some believe in the next 5-10 years will take over 40% of the jobs, that these type of solutions are going to be what people are going to be focused on, interested in. And we've also understood the huge potential with social media, your data being the oil of the 21st century, and that just how much so like we can build products like Facebook worth $500 billion, that using social media, social network platforms, projects like Bitcoin MYK coupled with Bitcoin and universal basic income can create such a valuable product. But it's not just that. The tokenomics of Bitcoin MYK are unlike any I've ever seen, and that is because the supply starts out very small, right? It gets around the Bitcoin token supply, which is about 21 million coins, and then in a future time, the supply lines drop below that. Whereas at the same time, from universal basic income and our social media part of the product, we believe that we can easily grow millions upon millions of people. We've already amassed over 13,000 accounts with very little to no money. And we just find this type of thing very interesting. Now, not to mention that right now it's worth fractions of a penny, which means that it has potential, a large potential for growth. Think back how Bitcoin went from 1 penny to $20,000. Now it's trying to touch $10,000 again. But we're talking about 1,000,000 to 2,000,000% jumps and gains. I believe that only such things can be accomplished in products that are first going to be user friendly, which is Bitcoin MYK2. It's going to be able to grow a large amount of users because they're going to be incentivized to join, which is Bitcoin MYK. Not so much Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has become now so much a very corporatized, institutionalized product that it doesn't really reward or incentivize people like it did when it first started. When you go from 1 penny to $10,000 now, with Bitcoin, it's very difficult to go from $10,000 to even touch $10,000. So, something like Bitcoin MYK, you can go from fractions of pennies to maybe dollars, right? Looking at 10,000% returns, 100,000% returns, million% returns, 10 million% returns. Who knows, right? Um, and that is because of the supply, right? The tokenization of the deflation of the supply is related to the amount of transactions being done, right? So these tokens are actually being burned off, but this model means it rewards the value back to the cryptocurrency holders of Bitcoin MYK. So it's a very fascinating project. It's one we've done many videos on that you should check out. You get Bitcoin MYK cryptocurrency free, absolutely free, just by checking it out, joining, right? We'll leave a link in the description. But these type of products are the bridge to the future, right? And this is something I think we certainly need to be looking into, right? Of course, we know another very large issue with cryptocurrency is onboarding and the user friendliness of it. And the way that Bitcoin MYK has solved this problem is that, much like you're watching this YouTube video today, Bitcoin MYK has a video user interface that links through videos, right? The easiest thing and the most valuable thing people can do online right now is through absorbing video content. You look at something like YouTube. YouTube is one of the most educational, I think it ranks #1 now as the most educational website online, period. Has a value of about $100 billion. By being able to integrate YouTube-like interfaces into our project, which is what we're doing here, we offer content creators the ability to earn through our partnership program. But in addition to that, the viewers and watchers of the videos earn. So not only do they earn, but they can also apply for universal basic income every month, and they get our cryptocurrency, right? Absorbing a very small percentage of the YouTube value, if not but 1%, would equal about $1 billion in value to the Bitcoin MYK project, right? And that's why this is so important, guys, right? Because this is what it's going to take to incentivize people in a way that they're going to want to use these projects and that are going to make sense. You got to make it easy for them, right? And so that's where we're at with that. We'd love for you all to try this product, get you some free cryptocurrency. It's one we're very passionate about. We think it fits well with the era we're living in now in the world where we're being hit with a pandemic. A lot of people aren't earning any money. And even after the pandemic, we're going to be hit with a robotics artificial intelligence revolution that's going to take 47% of jobs. This is a good way for cryptocurrency to peek its head in and get going part of the solution to solve these coming problems. But that's all I want to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. And until next time, as always, take care.